metal underground continues to be one of the strongest and most interesting in extreme music, and in Portugal it still has many gems. Like this debut album on Logo, which brings us a mixture of doom metal and depressive black metal, where we have a duo, that is vocals. Guitar and drums with a raw production that keeps the primordial and primitive feeling of the style very much alive. Monologue has 7 long songs, and may be a challenge for those who don't like depressive black metal or doom. Their production values also guarantee that only by appealing to this raw and primitive factor can you get a feel for what they're presenting here. A nice surprise.
Wonders come from Italy and prove that the good power metal that exploded all over the country at the end of the 90s was not confined to the last century. Melodic and catchy as hell, it's not surprising how effective they are when you have experienced musicians like Bob Cazzionis, the Lunisu brothers, Luca Negro, and vocalist Marco Pastorino, all of whom have extensive experience in multiple projects. In addition to the power metal tone at the heart of what they do, there's also a whiff of hard rock that makes things more interesting. A good album for those who like melodic heavy metal.
Can we all agree by now that black metal has long since ceased to be a mystery? And that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. Nattverd's 4th album makes it clear that there's no room for surprises, nor are they necessary. What is necessary is to have the right atmosphere, the sharp riffs and songs that emanate cold and blasphemous desolation. Something these Norwegians are experts at. Despite being a relatively new band, what they've been transmitting to us since their first album is the feeling of classic black metal, without compromise and without wanting to invent. There's no need to invent. That's precisely what brings us to I Helvetes Forukt, that solid black metal album with all the elements we're looking for in the style. Dynamic, combining up-tempo with mid-tempo and a very strong collection of themes that makes them continue to be on the list of Norwegian bands today that make interesting black metal.
F/E/A's 3rd album, a band that every post-rock fan should know. Their name is strange, but their music automatically enters our brains. When we talk about post-rock, we automatically know what to expect, but despite this impact on predictability, they manage to surprise us with their textures and the rawer sounds they use, without losing a shred of melodic potential. It's a rawer, more organic approach that totally pays off in the end. One of the great instrumental post-rock albums of 2023, and the one that will reveal the Spanish band more clearly to the rest of the world, or so we hope.
Debut album by an interesting Portuguese one-man band who took inspiration from the book Buried Giant by Kazuo Ishiguro to illustrate the concept of their work. Musically, it's scattered between doom and post-metal, with some elements taken from black metal, particularly in some of the vocals. Melancholy is a constant and fits in well with the album's concept of the loss of memory and their struggle to preserve their own identity, a concept that was the result of feelings inspired by the book. The results aren't always what you'd like, particularly on a technical level, but that's also one of the problems a one-man band can face. Even so, the result is not at all discouraging, so we look forward to future work.
The cover and the beginning of this album gave us a giant déjà vu. Not to mention the fact that it was released by Limb Music, a label known for producing many power metal gems at the beginning of the millennium. Déjà vu doesn't necessarily have to be bad, but I must confess that the sword and sorcery kind of intro made it difficult to take this album seriously. Fortunately, as we went along, we were won over by exciting power metal full of catchy, and close to folk, melodies that help us to put aside the commonplaces that are inevitable. The Gates of Eremus marks the beginning of a discography that has the potential to surprise us with much more in the future.
Hell Unleashed was a good surprise, a good return to form after an 8-year absence. Such a good comeback that it left expectations high for the unknown. Expectations that may not be met for those who don't have a little more patience when listening. It's more melodic, less explosive, but that doesn't mean it's inferior. What seems clear to us is that we have an album that is more grounded in the crushing mid-tempo and that even brings us more melodic moments, but that doesn't mean it's a more accessible album. In fact, the heaviest moments come right in the mid-tempo moments. In that respect, it's a natural follow-up or, if you like, an evolution of what Hell Unleashed was and a great thrash metal album.
A new EP from Spain's Chaos Before GA, a band that has been impressing in the underground, and promises to impress even more with this new set of songs, and those to follow. It's not clear whether this release will be seen as an EP, or as the first part of the band's new album. That is, if the band releases the next EP, the two together shouldn't be seen as an album. Be that as it may, and speaking only of what we can hear here, we have highly interesting and captivating melodic death metal, even if it does have some points in common with something more modern. Nothing to stop fans of the genre, and also of the band itself, from salivating over these 4 songs and eagerly awaiting the second part.